We've got a company that wants to bring in leads from Home Advisor's JSON lead feed. And Home Advisor packages this up in a JSON format. And here we've got the field names here. So we're going to create fields inside of QuickBase using these fields. And down below here, there's an example of the example posts, these JSON posts with the field, the name value paired, data figured out. So what we want to do is, how can we get this data into QuickBase where this is coming as a post from a service provider like Home Advisor? So the first thing we did was we came over and created a table inside of QuickBase. We want to take this information in for inquiries. And these mirror what is over here for primary, secondary phone, all those kind of the things that they're providing you. Okay, now what we want to do is figure out how that's going to happen. And so I've created a pipeline here, and I've called it Home Advisor Leads Webhook version. And so the very first thing I did was I came down here, and there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You could actually use the JSON Handler if you wanted to, and then iterate through records. But mine was a little bit more basic than that. I went down to the webhook. Now, when you open this up and you've got a request, and this is the triggering event that something is coming in. When you drag these over into the start position, for instance, for step A, this is all that it shows. But the important thing is that it's giving you this link. And this is the endpoint of QuickBase's pipelines, which knows who you are and what you want to do with it. So now they use as a suggestion using the API request.io. And what this is a free application. And I'm going to go over to it right now. And I've already populated this, but let's just go up to the top. Now this is where we're sending the post. Excuse me, right here. And so we are pasting that item that we got from here. This is this link right here. Right click, copy link, right? We brought it over to here. This is where it's going. And then depending upon the content of what you had, you remember we've got this Word document over here that has some examples of the payloads. So I have taken this from here, taken it down, copied the whole thing. Now you probably want to cut this and paste this into a text editor and then copy it out of the text editor to strip away because this is a Word doc, curlies will be converted in a number of them, and that is what happened to me. I had a couple of these which were, when I pasted them, curlies instead of straight up and down kind of quotations. So anyway, we put it into here, and then I get ready to send it. And then this would simulate Home Advisor submitting something, a post, to that endpoint up above, which we know is the pipelines that starts off the chain of events. So let's go back over here where, and let's finish the discussion before I actually run it. So after we have this as an initiating thing to do, the second part is that I went up and said, well, what do I want to do? I want to add a record and create a record. So I grabbed this and dragged it over to here, which allows us to open up. Now, this allowed us to look at the table that we were looking at, and then all these fields from our destination table were there, and I added them all in here, which spawned receptors down below here. So these were the fields in the table I needed to populate. But I did not have anything except body. This was all I got. Remember, the information that was submitted was a blob of information. So what do we do about that? Well, in order for me to figure out this, and I had some help from one of our other engineers, Bree. Thank you, Bree. we needed to figure out, if I just drag the body over here and we looked at what that says, you can see that's only part of the story. How do I get the subset of the fields beneath it? And so that's where we're going to run this, and we're going to look at the data and find this section. It's inside the import that we realize that we need to qualify what object inside the process is providing this. Anyway, let's start this up. We'll go over here, and we're going to send one of these. We're going to come back over to the pipelines, and you can see a request is coming in. We scoot down here, and it created a record. And you can see the fields have found their values. So now I'm going to go back over to here and refresh the page, and we'll see that we've got a record that's in here. It's been populated from that incoming post, and here are all the values. But still the mystery is, how is it that you drag and create these fields over here to go into these fields, because all we have is a body blob. Well, as you come down looking at the input above, step A, the output of what happened, we come down here and we're looking at, where does the data start in this payload here? Where does the data start? And we get down further and further and further, because we haven't gotten to the fields yet. And now we get to the fields, and you can see everything is in this body underscore JSON right here. So we took that and preceded it. See, so it says A, from step A, we'll take the body JSON, dot, and then the field. Here's like secondary phone extension. That's in there someplace. Primary phone is in here. And so we've actually had to manually recreate it based upon the fields, but we knew that it was preceded by body JSON, which made that happen. So a successful incoming webhook to an endpoint created a record inside of QuickBase. So every time this particular customer has a lead coming in from Home Advisors, it's populated inside of QuickBase. We used the API request IO free service up here to be able to post the information. And if you're doing this with XML or just raw data, you can do that. You do this as well. And this just simulates ahead of time what your post is going to look like from your source. This one happens to be Home Advisor.